Hi there, it's Craig here, and welcome back to Vinyl TV. I've been thinking about how to make this video for a long time. And because this is Vinyl TV, I created this channel in order to encourage people to get into records, into vinyl records. And, I love my records. I listen to them a lot. I have 4 turntables, 3 are in operation. So I'm certainly not against vinyl, okay? This topic is very hot, and there's all kinds of reasons why people believe what they believe. And the only thing I could think to do was to come up with some facts and let you decide what you want to think. But I love my records, and that's why I created this channel. So, I'm a fan. I really, but I also have a lot of CDs and some digital copies of music on my computer. So, I'm all right with pretty much all of it. But there's a lot of arguments out there, and I just want to present it to you this way. Recently, I've been reading I've been listening to an audiobook from Geddy Lee from Rush. The book's called My Effin' Life, and I'm really enjoying the book. And Geddy, I'm a big Rush fan, by the way, in case you didn't already know. Geddy goes through, his parents' life and all of his childhood things and all that. And then when he finally gets to talking about Rush, he kind of goes through the experience of recording all the albums through the years and whatnot. And as I've been taking my journey through his book, I've been wanting to listen to those albums again. I mean, I've heard them many times, but now that I know some of the things that I know, like, they went outside with a guitar and they bounced the sound off of a mountain to get an echo, or they ran around out in the driveway making a bunch of noises, or they did this or this. And now I want to listen to those records again to listen to those things. And now that I know what I know, I want to experience them again. It's like, that's how they did that. Okay. So when I decide to do this, how am I going to listen to those records? Because I have them on vinyl, and they're good copies. I also have them on CD, and the CDs are original pressings, so no hanky-panky has gone on as far as mastering. I think they're taken from the original masters that they used to, cut the records with. So my question is, how am I going to listen to those things? Am I going to listen to them on vinyl or CD? I've heard them on both. So the answer to that question is, I guess it depends on what I want out of the experience. If I want the extra thrill or authenticity or fun out of listening to those records, then I'm going to listen to the vinyl. It's neat to hear your equipment working, and when it works well, it really feels good, Or maybe I just want to sit back in a lazy chair and not think about it, not think about the machinery. Maybe I just want to concentrate on the music itself. And in that case, I would listen to the CD. So now that leaves us with the debate over, but which sounds better? Because, you want to listen to the one that sounds better, right? Well, I would want to listen to the one that's going to cause me the least distraction. And if I really want to listen to a record for the sake of having the fun of, listen to that cartridge, it sounds so good, that record's in great condition, and the music sounds awesome, and it's just, it's just a great experience, and I'm having a beer, that's a record experience to me. I mean, you got some friends over or something maybe, and they're looking at it going, wow, that thing sounds really good. It's so good, man. It's like, whoa. The execution of playback tends to get a little more attention than the music sometimes, Not always, but it happens, and it happens with me, especially if I put on a record that I know is brand new, or at least it's only been played once or twice, and all of a sudden there's a big pop on it somewhere that I didn't hear last time. Well, that pisses me off. So that takes away my attention for 10 or 15 seconds because I'm trying to think, what the hell, why did that happen? What did I do to cause that? So there is distractions, I think. And I know if you have like, a $50,000 turntable or something, and you've got like this ultrasonic mega record cleaning machine, maybe you're a lot more successful than most of us at getting a clean playback on your vinyl. And if that's the case, beautiful, more power to you. But most of us don't have that. So in that case, the CD would really be my choice if I really want to close my eyes and not think about executing the reproduction of the sound from an analog source and all the errors that can occur. So there's that. Now, going into the sort of stuff of, which sounds better. I mean, so CDs, you talk about CDs, that's a distribution format. You can talk about higher resolution audio formats, like stuff that's been recorded at 96 kilohertz. So you're going to get 48 kilohertz, 20 to 48 kilohertz frequency response. And you did it at 24 bits. So you got this dynamic range, more than you can even tolerate with your ears. And so damn well you've got the world of, room to record and accurately reproduce this music. So let's not use CDs, because they're sort of, with all due respect, the 20 to 20,000 hertz, that's all they are. And although most of us can't hear above 20,000 hertz, people argue that, because those frequencies above 20,000 hertz, they interact with the frequencies that we can hear, and it creates harmonics and all this stuff, right? And I'm like, I don't know about you, but I don't think I'd be able to hear the difference myself. But hey, I don't have a very expensive stereo, and I'm not really there to try and analyze whether, a frequency is interacting with another frequency that's higher than my hearing range, and so on and so forth. If you're paying that much, really, if you can hear that, wow. I don't know. I don't even know if I'd want to hear that well. I think I'd go through life and torturing myself. But anyway, there's that argument. So let's use digital audio files that are, way beyond what you actually need to record our audio frequency range. Okay, so when I say digital, let's assume I mean that, not just CDs. Now, if you're going to record, let's say you have, your son is 5 years old and he's going to go up on stage and sing for the first time, up in front of people. And it's a memorable, event that you're never going to want to forget. And you want to record it. And you want it to be the best quality possible. And you have no limitations. There's a sound booth, so you can bring all the equipment you want and hook everything up and do whatever you want. There's no reason why you can't bring, an analog tape machine or whatever. So, which way are you going to record this performance? It's only going to happen once, and you have to make sure you capture it the best way that you can. Are you going to get a very high quality analog to digital converter and record the performance digitally with no noise? And maybe you can record it in two different computers so that you've got redundancy in case something goes wrong. And then you've got a digital high resolution copy of this performance that's going to sound virtually, if not exactly the same as the original performance itself. Now, let me just stay on that for a second. I disagree that digitizing audio properly changes the sound. I disagree. I don't think it does. And I'm going to go into something a little bit later on that might prove my point. If it does, I don't understand how anybody could hear that. Okay, if I'm speaking into this microphone right now and you're wearing these headphones and you're listening to me, and then we play the digital audio file back and you're listening to me again and you're in another room and we play them both, would you be able to tell the original from the recording? And the answer is, I don't think so. Honestly, like a high resolution recording, 96 kilohertz, 24-bit, all that, expensive converters, good equipment, everything. I don't know, man. I think it's a reach. I think it's a reach to say that you'd be able to hear the difference. And so let's look at maybe, okay, so, but you're an analog guy, so you want to record it onto tape, okay? So your son's up on stage, you press record, and it's going on to reel or whatever at high speed, something really high quality. Let's give, it a chance. Right? We won't use cassettes or anything. We'll go with reel 15 inches per second or whatever. And then you play that back. So now, are you going to be able to hear the difference between the original performance and the recording? Well, I think I can answer that for you, because people always say, well, tape has a warmth to it. Well, right away, immediately, you've admitted that the tape changes the sound. So tape distorts the sound. Distortion doesn't always have to mean, terrible sound. Distortion just means it's not its original. It's not in its original form. You go to a fun house and you look at one of those mirrors that makes you look tall or fat or whatever. It's still you and you still look the same, but it's distorting the image so it looks different. Okay? The tape is distorting the sound so that it sounds different. Is that what you want? Do you want to capture that recording on a device that's going to change the sound? Now, we all had no choice back in the early days of recording. We had to use tape, and I think a lot of us got pretty good results off of it, and it's all we had. But it changes the sound. And you can prove this. Now, this is a thoughtful experiment that you can imagine, and you could do it if you had the equipment and everything. But just imagine this. You've got an analog recording over here, and you want to make a copy of it. So you've got it's a reel-to-reel, high quality, whatever. And so you play it back, and you've got another analog tape recorder on over here, and you copy the recording from one tape to another. Now what happens? Everybody knows the answer to this. You lose quality. Tape is lossy. It's a lossy format. Okay? And if you take that copy and you record it back to another tape again, and you play that tape back and you record that to another tape, and you do that 5-10 times, what happens? Anyone? It starts to sound bad. Why? Because tape is lossy. It's a lossy format. And we complain about MP3s and everything, being lossy. It's like, oh, I can't listen to an MP3, even if it's 320 kilobits per second, which is a lot better than the cassettes we were listening to on those Walkmans back in the 80s. I'll tell you right now. Walking to my girlfriend's house listening to Michael Jackson Thriller, and I can't even walk fast because it's making it warble, and the head alignment is off, and it's distorting, and the headphones fall out and everything. So, it's probably a lot better than that, the MP3 format. So, and certainly, for portable use, it's ideal, really. Okay, so you do that with a tape and you lose quality. It's just the way it is, folks. It's a fact. Now, let's suppose you have a digital recording over here. Maybe it's on a CD, or like I said, maybe it's a high resolution. Let's just say it's a computer with a high resolution recording, 96 kilohertz, all that jazz, right? You want to copy this. Now, just stay with me because I know what you're going to say. Just wait. We're going to copy this from here over to a similar device over here that has the same capabilities. Now, see, with digital, of course, you can just zip it over there digitally. And of course, we know it won't lose any quality because it's like copying a file over and over and over. It's never going to change, right? That's why I'm not going to do it that way. That's why we're going to do it analog. We're going to connect the audio output on this computer, presuming it's high quality audio. Sound card is really expensive and it's good and everything. And we're going to take the analog output of that computer and we're going to connect it with a wire to the second computer that's, again, made for this and is good quality and all that. And we're going to record from that computer to this computer, that audio signal through an analog wire. what do you think is going to happen? The first time you do it, you think you're going to hear any difference? What about the second time? What about the 10th time? What about comparing the amount of degradation that happens when you do that with analog tape to the amount of degradation that might happen if you do this with digital audio, where digital audio itself doesn't really change the sound. If it does, it's like very, very, very minute. And again, we're using good quality converters and stuff. In fact, the only thing that's going to probably degrade the sound when you do it from here to here digitally is the analog connection going from one to the other. It's the analog that's going to affect the quality of the sound more than the digital part of it, because the analog is lossy. It's the wire, maybe there's some line noise somewhere. There's hiss from the amplifiers inside the computers. There's, whatever. There's some noise that every time you copy it, that noise just gets more and more and more until the 10th time you start hearing funny sounds. And that's probably because of the analog. Well, sure, certainly it's because of the analog portion of that copy. Because that doesn't happen when it's all zeros and ones, right? Zeros and ones are zeros and ones. They never change. So we've just sort of proven that. Listen, I love the sound of analog. I wish I had a reel-to-reel. Really, I do. I just, I don't have one. Can't afford one. And then try to find the tapes, But the truth of the matter is that when you're talking about both formats, digital versus analog, the digital side of things does seem less likely to damage the sound. And if you were to perform that experiment, I think that's what you would, I'm positive that's what you would find. 10 times from tape to tape versus 10 times from digital to digital. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you think that the tape's going to fare better than the digital, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to have a conversation with you, because digital isn't lossy. Analog is lossy. And, we're just talking about tape, which is generally clean sounding. I mean, there's a little bit of hiss. But, if you run it at a high speed, you can pretty much, that's not going to be much of a problem. But so then let's talk about vinyl. Okay. Let's imagine you had a vinyl record, a record player over here, good quality, all the bells and whistles, excellent cartridge, all of that. And you have a nice clean record, and you have a, cutting lathe over here where you could cut a new lacquer and make a copy of this record, and then go through all the steps to press it and make a second record, basically copying one record to another record. Okay. Do that 10 times. See what happens. I mean, I don't even have to go into it. Okay. The records are noisy, and that's just the way it is. I mean, they just are. They're noisier than tape. And, unless you have like the most amazing record cleaner and the most expensive turntable in the world, and you're able to just clean that record, like, so there's absolutely no clicks or pops in it at all, which would be, in my opinion, take longer than to actually listen to the thing. I doubt you're going to be able to do that 10 times. Digitally, yeah, you're still going to get a pretty darn good copy from vinyl to another vinyl. No. Right off the bat, as soon as you make a record and bring it home and play it, already it's lost, quality because of the manufacturing process, and then depending on your equipment, of course. Okay, so fine. Analog's lossy. But does that mean it sounds worse than digital? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. But, back in the 80s, nobody was complaining about, when we were all listening to our records, and a lot of people wouldn't let go of their vinyl, even though CDs came out, 1983 or whatever year it was. A lot of people said, no way, man. No way. I'm not switching. That's digital. I don't want to hear digital. I want pure analog. Well, folks, W. Westlife did a video on this, and he did a great job explaining it. So kudos to him. He does a great job on all of his videos, by the way, so check him out. He was explaining this. So this is where I got the idea. He gave me the idea to do this portion of this video. I've got some records here. Here's some classic records. I didn't even get them all out because I didn't even, there's more that I didn't get from my record collection, but we've got, this U2 record, whether you like U2 or not, it's, whatever to you. But, here we have, we got, Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms and whatnot. This is a great album. Sounds great on vinyl. Really does. I have the CD, but listening to it on vinyl is just special, It's really great. There's another one here. This one's, the Police. Whoops. Synchronicity, which I just dropped, but it landed safely on my foot. Okay. Great record. Sounded great on CD. Sounds great on vinyl, man. I couldn't wait to get my hands on that one. Another one here. Well, this is a repressing, but still, if you own the original copy of Michael Jackson Thriller, I mean, it's the most listened to, it says right here, the world's biggest selling album of all time, Michael Jackson Thriller. Great album. Sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Quincy Jones did a great job on that one. And so on. I mean, I could pull records out all day. But folks, these records were all digitally mastered. They are all digital. I know it's a bad word to some people. They're digital. All of them. Plus, there's more. There's more. Where's my glasses? I'm not letting this go. Peter Gabriel, So. Tracy Chapman, we just saw her on TV a little while ago, didn't we? Or I didn't watch it, but I've heard about it. Fleetwood Mac, Tango in the Night. Man, look at this. Paul Simon, Graceland. Tears for Fears, Song from the Big Chair. Wow, we got Madonna, Like a Prayer. Just Whitney Houston. How long do you want me to read this list? I only got 20. I only looked up 20. There's probably a million more. Duran Duran, Rio, Depeche Mode, Tina Turner, Private Dancer. I mean, on and on and on and on. All these records, right? All these records, digital. They came from a digital master. Nobody complained about that when we were sitting there playing our records. And another one I didn't get out, I forgot, Rush Moving Pictures, that everybody loved. I still love that record, and I have several copies on vinyl. And I still, for some reason, prefer listening to it on vinyl. But that record was mastered in CD quality, 16-bit 44.1. That's what that record was mastered at, and then cut onto vinyl. Did we know? No, we didn't know. I didn't know. Did you know? Did you hear the harshness of digital? Were you complaining that, oh my God, because we didn't know that they mastered these digitally. And if it said it on the thing, we were all excited. A lot of people were. Right? So then you might say, well, okay, it doesn't sound digital because it got transferred to analog. So it got the warmth, that it, that analog has. Well, you have to remember something too about when they press records, they have to cut frequencies and they have to tailor and doctor the sound so that it can actually be burned or, cut onto a record. Otherwise it won't track properly. So they have to do certain things, de-essing, compression, all this other stuff to make sure that the cutting stylus can actually cut the grooves in a way that can be played back. Because it's, if it's too much, your needle's going to jump right out of the record and it's not going to play or it's going to sound bad. So a lot of times the reason why records might sound warmer is because they had to actually restrict some of the frequencies and dynamics in order to get it to properly be on the record. And when they made the CDs, they probably didn't do that because they didn't have to. That's why maybe a lot of CDs sound brighter than the records. Because people say, oh, it's too harsh, it's bright. That's because that's the original master from the studio that they didn't have to do anything to in order to put it on a CD. Right? So there's all of this stuff. I mean, We can sit here all day and argue analog versus digital, and get at each other's throats and start a war. But these are the facts. These are the things that we need to think about. Whether you still want to, never ever listen to digital again, fine, that's up to you. The nice part is we all have choices. But we can't sit and, complain, about digital when most of your favorite records anywhere from 1979 on were digital. And we happily played them. Vinyl. Oh, I can't wait to put this on, until we found out that, oh, wait, it's digital. Oh, no. And there are people out there who can't. This is ridiculous. They're listening to the records for years and enjoying them and just loving their record collection and everything is good, loving the sound, admiring it, admiring their turntables and their setups, and just as happy as in pigs and you know what. Until they find out that they were digital and they can't listen to them anymore. I just read it on a forum. One guy says, I found out my favorite records were once digital and now I can't listen to them anymore. I'm like, what? That's crazy, man. Why? What, they don't sound good anymore? You know what that's called? That's called placebo. And I think placebo plays a lot into this audio field that a lot of us are in. I really think it does. And that's one of the examples of it. That's like, you've been eating your mom's spaghetti sauce for, years and years and years, and you love it. Oh, my mom makes the best spaghetti sauce. Until you find out she puts grated carrots in it. And you don't like carrots. But you couldn't taste them until you found out that they were there. Now you can't eat your mom's spaghetti sauce anymore. Silly, silly, silly. So that to me, that all of that to me is, I'm not sitting here telling you that one's better than the other. And I mean, you guys can argue with this all you want. You post your comments down below, and I'm happy to have discussions on this. And maybe I'll make another video about, some of your comments. Which way are you going to record your son's performance? Are you only going to capture it once? On a lossy format or a virtually non-lossy format? I say virtually because I'm just protecting myself from somebody's going to have a reason why digital does something to the audio. But it does virtually nothing. And there's one more small thing. There's certain records that I love to listen to. And I think my screensaver just went. So we lost our graphic there. That's always embarrassing. When you don't know it's happened. It's like somebody stuck a sign on your back. Records like Supertramp, Even in the Quietest Moments. I love that album. There's so many quiet parts on that record. That, if you don't have, and good luck finding one, a really clean copy of that record, forget it. You just can't. There's so many quiet parts on that record, especially during Fool's Overture, the last song on the album. It's nearly impossible to listen to that song off of vinyl without being distracted because it's like so quiet. It's barely above the noise floor of the record itself. In that case, I think I would much rather listen to that record from a digital source, even the CD. That way I'm not thinking about, oh man, this is really quiet. Listen to all that noise. It's distracting, A record like that, you'd be much, I think, better off listening to it from a digital source because then you're not distracted by all that noise. And I think there's certain conditions that where you'd be better listening to digital and other conditions where maybe you'd be better listening to analog. For instance, some records that came out both on CD and vinyl together, like for instance, Rush's Clockwork Angels. That record sounds much better off the vinyl because when they mastered the CD, they brick-walled it. Loudness warred it. Yeah, the loudness wars. You know all about that. So they brick-walled it, and it sounds terrible. But that's what people want when they're driving around in their cars or whatever. There's all kinds of noise around them. They need to be able to hear all of the songs, all at a loud level so that it doesn't get drowned out. But if you're a little bit more serious about listening to it, you're going to buy the vinyl copy of it because they didn't brick wall it on the vinyl copy. But these people that just can't listen to it if it's ever touched a digital source or if it's ever been digital before, you're just being kind of silly, like listen to it first before you make a judgment on it. Because that's just being ridiculous. I think that's being ridiculous, really. Oh, I can't listen to it now because I found out after listening to it 50 times and enjoying it, I just found out it was digital once. And now I can't listen to it. I mean, it makes me sick. You need to get over it, dude. Really, honestly. Forget about it. Just listen to it. You've enjoyed it all these years and now you can't listen to it anymore because of that. Good luck to those people. I mean, I doubt they're enjoying music very much if all that's going through their minds while they're listening to it. So anyway, folks, listen, that's my take on it. And you're more than welcome. Please, post a comment on the down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me where I'm wrong. Thanks for listening and watching. And, just enjoy your music. That's all. We'll see you back here at Vinyl TV real soon. Take care. Oh, and, despite all I've said, I still think that vinyl is final. Cheers.